Gardner today at the Highbury Pub with a very special guest, Tony Sanneh, member of the 2002 U.S. World Cup team. Tony, thanks so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
And we got our regular Boro Sucevic here as well. So we're going to have an exciting podcast today, video roundtable. Tony, first, if I could just ask you, when you're watching this World Cup, do those memories of 2002 and that U.S. team that reached the quarterfinals, nearly made the semifinals, do those come flooding back to you, or when you watch the World Cup today?
Well, not just from watching it, but you're kind of forced into talking about it a lot and revisiting the situation. And in the beginning of games, when you see the national anthem and the hoopla and the hype around it, it kind of puts you back in there and lets me kind of remind myself that I was part of something on a large world scale, and it was very special.
Oh, no question. And you guys came so close to beating Germany in that quarterfinal game. What are your memories of that? Are they still vivid today?
I just remember, I was going in the game thinking we could win, and getting behind, but really putting pressure. And ultimately, I said, it kind of shows the maturity of U.S. soccer. I think our team could play with any team in the world, but we weren't quite there yet as playing games to win and just knowing we were going to win, and being able to close out, finish chances, and focus on set plays was the difference between winning and losing.
Okay. And I take it, as you say, you're busy with your foundation, with a lot of things going up in Minneapolis, St. Paul area. And so we're so glad you're here today. But we'll talk a little bit about the USA and their game against Belgium on Tuesday. But first, let's just talk about some of the developments over the last few days of the World Cup. There's been some incredible action, Boro. What's some of the stuff that has really hit you or maybe struck you as incredible in this World Cup in the last few days? We haven't talked for a few days now.
Well, it's Suarez thing, obviously. That's the one that's I think has really kind of been a disappointment, because so far the World Cup has been a tremendous event. Right. Goals and everything, so many great things happening, and that is a big disappointment. So, I was sorry to see him. It was shocking, absolutely.
Shocking.
Third time around and all that. So, I'm sad to see him go, actually, because I think it would have been a completely different scenario for Uruguay against Colombia if he was part of the game, obviously. So.
And that ban that he got, do you think fair?
No, I don't think it's fair at all.
Really?
Not at all.
Okay.
I don't think it shouldn't have been that long, and I think they probably should have given him a chance maybe to at least appeal, look at it. It's video-based. The decision was way too quickly. Appeal process, none of that was part of it, and they came down really hard on him and all that. And part of it, I think it stems from the fact that I think Blatter, the president of FIFA, I think he wanted him out of the World Cup, and he sort of wanted the games and this wonderful tournament, just all the focus being on that.
The games to take
yeah,
over.
absolutely, and just but get him out of there. But I don't think it's fair, and I it is what it is, I guess.
Tony, you and I were talking earlier today, and you said Brazil was your favorite, still is. But did you have some concern with the way they played yesterday, just a crossbar away, right, from going out in the round of 16?
Well, I think that's one of the things that's very special about this tournament. Pretty much every team has been competitive, minus Honduras, England,
Cameroon, maybe.
Cameroon.
Yeah.
For the most part, every team has been able to compete and win every game, and it just shows you how the world is catching up to the leaders. And soccer as a sport is international branded, and any 11 athletes can compete. So I still like Brazil because they're the home favorite. Right. But obviously playing against Colombia is going to be a really difficult game. Right. They've been, knocked out by Holland, I believe, a couple of times before. So, and Holland's playing really well. So, yes. They have their work cut out for them. But that's what the World Cup is about. You have to win the games.
Absolutely, absolutely. You never had any incident in your playing career? I'm sure you had a few scuffles, but you never had anybody bite you, did you?
Nah, not that I can remember. And I disagree with Boro a little bit, just because I think FIFA wanted to make a statement because it embarrasses the game when you're on the world stage and you
big embarrassment.
You act in that way, and also, there's a history of that. Right. And I think if it's the first time, but if if somebody does something that's so far away from the game, I mean, even reaching out and lashing at somebody or kicking or, punching, biting is, you're basically guaranteed to draw blood. And it's, there's a lot of fluidal changes as well. And, well, at least here we consider it a barbaric act. And there are some that try to defensive and said, you know what, in Uruguay it's not a barbaric act. And, I would like to hear from more Uruguayans about that. But, I think if a player has repeated history of acting outside the rules of the game, then the punishment always is a little bit harder.
Almost no choice there, in a way.
Following Suarez's decision, you turn around and you forgive Beckenbauer and allow his ban to basically be forgiven.
To be forgiven, that's what you didn't like.
And we're not arguing over, the fact that FIFA's been corrupt, because there's a track record and history
They have a record
of it, and so that's, nobody's arguing with that. But in this case, an action on the field, I do think that a punishment is necessary.
Now,
Shouldn't have been that long, though. So that's what I'm arguing. I definitely agree. He deserves something, definitely. I mean, repeat offender and all that, and stuff. But I just think that 4 months is way too long.
So let me ask you a question then. How many times what if he did that every time he went on the field?
He needs help. It's obvious.
No, but that's not the answer to my question. My question is, every time he played, if he bit somebody, is there a point when it'd be a longer suspension?
Yeah, it should be. If he did get help and then acted again, then I think it's warranted to kind of remove him from the game after therapy, after some help. But I think he, as a human being, really does need help.
What
really needs help.
What disturbed me is it didn't sound to me like the Uruguayan Federation thought he needed help. They just wanted him on the field to play in the World Cup.
Well, what about Liverpool?
And I thought that was. They should have said, okay, we don't have him, we got to win. Instead, they really got torched by Colombia.
You have to look at the Premiership. I mean, it happened there. It happened in Holland as well. I mean, but then everybody knew that the man needs help.
Yes.
And he's an offender, obviously. And he's got issues.
All right, let's go away from the biting.
Do we have to?
Do we have to? That's too exciting. But let's talk about some of the best players and best teams. We were talking about that a little earlier. Tony, who do you like? Some of the players that have really impressed you? We talked about James Rodriguez from Colombia, who scored 5 goals, who's just maybe come out of nowhere a little bit in this tournament, been one of the most exciting players. Who have you liked?
For the U.S., I really like Jermaine Jones. I think he's been very consistent, two-way player. Yes. And he's played with the winning mentality to be there. Yeah. And he even scored a goal, which is a little
great goal
outside of character for him. Philip Lahm has been pretty consistent for Germany. Robin has been very dangerous overall and a constant threat. Yes. And even though I don't like his theatrics in the penalty kick, but he's still been dangerous. Suarez is one of the strongest players in the World Cup before that incident, and obviously the two greats, Neymar and Messi, are probably the top 2 teams in the World Cup right now, and they're the best players. And those teams both started off kind of slow, and both of those players single-handedly kind of kept them in it, and I think both teams are hitting their stride right now.
Are you surprised? Messi had struggled so much in the previous World Cups, and they said he couldn't play for his country, he could only play for Barcelona. What has he done differently, you think, in this one?
Well, the first 2 games he struggled. He really did. I mean, he lost the ball repeatedly. He was frustrated. What he did was he didn't give up, and late in both games he scored goals in it, and I think those goals, and then you score a goal one game and then another, your confidence boosts up. Other people are afraid of you again. And I also think that the Argentina team starts to understand him a little better. When you watch him for Barcelona, the movement off the ball of the other players creates a lot of space for him. When you watch Argentina, he has the ball, everybody runs in straight lines. It's easier for him to be double teamed. He doesn't have the same players to pass to. So I think he's gaining confidence, and I think his team is starting to understand him. And he is the best player in the world, and they do need to get him the ball.
Yeah, no doubt. Boro, you said Ronaldo disappointed you. Who are some of your disappointments? And then maybe join Tony and say who are some of the players you've really enjoyed so far?
Well, I've enjoyed Neymar because prior to the World Cup, I did not really believe that he would be the one that could carry Brazil. I thought
young?
Yeah, so young. I thought that's his age, and just the whole event and the nation and the event itself, the pressure and all that. I really wasn't sure if he was going to be able to come through, but to me, he's been the revelation. I mean, I think he's proving that he's really really a top-notch player, and we're going to enjoy watching him play for a lot of years.
In the
And
first half against Chile, he was quite phenomenal, lively,
absolutely,
wasn't he?
yeah. I mean, he's shown so much more than what we've seen with Barcelona, because at Barcelona, I think, didn't start some games when he did some games that he did play.
Came off the bench.
We saw probably 50-60% of his potential.
Okay.
And I think here now we're seeing him play. So for me, that he's really been the best young player and really a joy to watch.
Who'd you like on the U.S. team? Tony mentioned Jermaine Jones. Who's impressed you? We know Tim Howard's always going to play like that, it seems like. We kind of take him for granted. He had a great game the other day. But who else?
Yeah, I mean, I've been saying this all along every week, is that Dempsey, absolutely. I just think him with the captain band, with the injuries, having to play out of position,
With Josie hurt?
having to score. I mean, he's doing it all. He's carrying us. I just think his attitude towards everything, I absolutely respect him, man. I think he's, for me, the best American player.
And he's
in this
shown a
World
lot of
Cup.
maturity through the years. I mean, he's really developed into a true leader on that team.
He wasn't always that, right? I mean, he had to mature. He had to
right.
get, yeah.
I think Jurgen gave him an opportunity, and I think he grasped that, and I think he's embracing that role and understands that he does have a role as a role model in U.S. soccer.
Tony, do you remember the game? You just came back from Europe.
Yep.
You signed with MLS, and you played. Dempsey was, I believe, with New England at that time.
Yep.
And the game was played. I watched the game on TV, and we talked on the phone after the game. And I've asked you, who is that young guy that just took that really hard made a hard tackle on you? And it was Dempsey, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it was kind of a play where there was a foul and there was a corner kick, and I was just like, ease up, buddy. And he took a swing at me and punched me in the chest, and he said, you don't know me. And I obviously punched him back in the head and said, well, you don't know me either. But it just showed that at a young age, he showed no fear. He was fearless, and he believed in his own abilities, and he's continued to improve, and he's continued to actually mature as well.
He's kind of had that attitude, right? He is feisty on the field. He hasn't lost that.
Yeah, but Charles, we knew
But under control,
after the game,
too.
in that conversation,
Oh,
we both
interesting.
agreed that kid's going to be something, because
interesting.
he believed in himself to really go against one of our greats.
Yes.
In a
He
game.
was a rookie.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we both agreed that kid was going to be something special. And you're right, Tony, though. He really has matured more than anybody. And this World Cup, I think, his leadership, his character, and just his willingness to do whatever it is. And luck has followed him, too, a little bit and stuff. But God bless him. May it continue against Belgium.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about USA-Belgium Tuesday. Round of 16, the last round of 16 game. USA-Belgium. Tony, what do you think? You said you think it's going to be a tough test with those young Belgian players. It's not going to be easy. Certainly the U.S. has a chance there. And if they could win, maybe we'll go on and face Argentina.
I'm really hopeful, but I'm not that optimistic, and that's just me being honest. Belgium is flying under the radar. I think they beat us pretty handily in a friendly game, and hopefully
4-2 game.
Hopefully they're overconfident. Emotionally, we've had a lot of ups and downs, and we're fighting some injuries and moving players in and out of the lineup, which is which will hurt the overall consistency. Belgium does have some key injuries, which could help us out as well. But I do think with the country behind us, and the country has truly embraced this team, I do think that energy, actually the players feel that energy and that support, and hopefully that can create just that little 10% fight to help the U.S. come on top.
You never had that when you were on the World Cup team in South Korea. Those 10,000, 20,000 fans, right behind you. You had some fans there.
We had fans, and people were getting up here at 5 in the morning, and we're getting emails about that.
Right.
But I think the nation this time has truly embraced the World Cup and the United States team, and it's on during primetime hours. And all that positive energy and spirit, the players feel it, and they know that they're playing for their country, and they know that there's a lot of people that believe in them.
Well, what do you see with this game? The Germany game, they lost, but they got through. They had done the hard work maybe in the first two games, even though at the end against Portugal, of course, was disappointing. What do you see in this game?
Well, you guys can join me in a chance. I believe we can win against Belgium. I've said this to you last week.
You're going to chant, I believe.
I absolutely believe that the Belgian game will not be that difficult for us.
No.
I think Tony identified the fact already that there's three defenders in Belgium back
Company
line,
may be hurt.
he might even be out. So having that
Yeah, he
many
is
injured
hurt.
players, that's a factor. Heat will be a factor as well. I just don't think the way Belgium has played the first 3 games, they have waited till the later stages of the games to decide games.
Yes.
And they were fortunate in 2 games as well. So I don't see them, I don't think they're really playing their best soccer. And I just like to think that the honesty that our players have on the field, and just the character and the attitude, team first. And I think Jurgen has done a great job as well in terms of substitutions as well. I think this is a super winnable game.
Great
for us.
opportunity.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And Tony, do you see that the U.S., can, if they put Josie back in, they can do that kind of seamlessly? We don't know if they're going to do that. You said sometimes that's hard to shake up the lineup at a late stage like that.
I mean, they were training a month before with Josie.
Right.
The issue is that we really rely on Josie to pinpoint our attack and they create chances.
Yes.
And if he's playing even at 95% and worried about re-injuring it,
Right.
He comes far less effective. And so that would be my
That's a concern.
that would be the concern, that if he's not truly 100%, that he won't play like Josie Altidore.
Right.
And so it's a big issue. I think players coming in out of the lineup, maybe Klinsmann is a mastermind. He's found guys to come in, step in, take on some roles, keep the team fresh. But I also kind of believe in, if you can build some continuity in the World Cup, it goes a long way in general understanding and form.
How about the group? The U.S. group was so tough. Can that translate? Belgium's group was one of the weaker groups in the tournament. Can that help the U.S. as they go into this game?
Well, I think so, because we've played against 3 teams that are arguably all in the top 10 in the world. So we've had 3 great games, and we've played okay in all of them. And you could say our worst game was the one we won, and you could say our best game was the one we lost. So things could go either way, but we are prepared to play tough teams, where Belgium has had some lighter games, you could say.
What do you think about that board? Does that translate?
Yeah, absolutely. Plus, I also think that our possession will get better. Number one, Michael Bradley has to, and he will.
He struggled.
He will
struggled,
play
hasn't he?
better. He
Yeah.
has to. I think our possession game will get better. Against Germany, the rain played a big part.
Right.
So we were really sort of keeping it close and tight, looking one eye on Portugal's game and Ghana's game and all that. So it was difficult for us, and Germany's absolutely made it difficult for us first 20 minutes.
Right.
And we caught a couple breaks. But if possession gets better for us against Belgium, then I think that's, to me, that's the key. That's going to be the key.
And I don't want to start bashing Michael Bradley, because he's been one of the disappointments for me in the World Cup. And I only say that because I really expected him to be one of the stars.
Right.
And I think he's done a lot of little things that he doesn't get credit for. But I think he's missed,
Even in this World Cup, he's done some little things.
but I think he's missed some key opportunities. And I think it's really hard for him to be effective when the U.S. doesn't have the ball. And so we need to get him the ball more, so he can keep it the ball, and create opportunities for the rest of the team. And if he does that, you're right. We could, the level of the U.S. team is up 20%.
See, also, Charles, is Michael Bradley, statistically speaking, Michael Bradley has run more than any player at the World Cup. He's put in the most miles. So the effort is there.
He's putting on
Effort
the
is- but
miles.
you're absolutely right,
You
though.
can see him going box
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
box.
So
right?
I mean, with Jones and Beckerman and the way they're lining up, and then
way
Jones
the
really
formation
having, I think that's affecting them. The positioning within the system is affecting them.
Okay.
So they might be tinkered a little bit. I'm not sure if you'll. How look at them? Does Josie change that? If he's in the lineup, maybe Dempsey's.
Maybe a little bit,
Yeah, so
right.
it depends. But I agree with you, Tony. Is that he really is. He should not be bashed, not at all, because like I said, the effort is there. He needs to be closer to the box. You gotta get him involved offensively. Find a way to get him involved.
He needs to get the ball.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he is such a good player. And the only reason I'm disappointed, because I expected him to dominate at this World
Right,
Cup.
I think a lot of us
and,
did.
and I think he still can. I mean, there's still games
There's
to go.
chances.
And, it's not his fault the rest of the U.S. team didn't keep the ball either. So
Right.
without
Right.
it, it's really hard for him to really be the level which we want and expect him to be.
All right, very good. Before we sign off, Tony, I know you have your foundation, and it's doing great. You're doing great things. You have a soccer team from Haiti up in the Minneapolis area right now, correct? Just tell us a little about that and what you're doing with it.
Well, we have a bunch of programs up in Minneapolis, and one international one called the Haitian Initiative. And every summer we do an exchange program where we bring a team. This year we have an under 13 team of Haitians from Cirque du Soleil visiting, and they'll stay for a month, and it's a cultural exchange. So it's a great opportunity for the U.S. to see kids from another culture and country, and the Haitians get to learn some other stuff in soccer. But it does a lot for our overall community. And we try to do in Haiti what we do in Minnesota, and that's focus on education, health and wellness, and opportunity. So we believe that it truly is a global place, and Haiti is the poorest country in the world. So we've decided to do what we can to help that nation.
Fantastic, fantastic. And Tony, thanks so much for coming down.
Thanks
we
for
really
having me.
appreciate you being in Milwaukee.
You got to thank Boro
And
for inviting me.
Boro for having you here.
Let's not forget about Algeria-Germany game.
That's
for
right.
a neutral, Charles, for a neutral, that is really a game
Yeah.
that I believe
Talk
is really going
about
to be.
that game, and you have kind of a hidden thing that a lot of people wouldn't know about.
Yeah, I mean, you
Boro.
gotta just look
That's a
back
game
a little
Monday,
bit.
around the 16 game.
Yeah, I'm going to show my age here, obviously. In 1982, I actually watched the World Cup. There was a game where Algeria had a
You were
chance
young.
to go, fairly young, maybe. Algeria had a chance to go into the second round. Germany and Austria played to what many people have perceived
game.
in a fixed game. Absolutely,
fixed World Cup game.
And many FIFA was embarrassed, German Federation was embarrassed, and Algeria has been waiting since 1982 for a
play
chance at this. So I absolutely believe that, historically speaking, and let's not forget that Algeria has actually a really good team.
They have a good
They have
team
a
in
good
this
team.
World Cup.
Yeah, they have an
play very
athletic
well.
team
Yeah.
that's really well organized, and they've found ways to score goals as well. So I think you're going to look at a cracker of a game tomorrow.
You don't think that'll be a walkover for
No,
Germany?
I think that has potential for a big time upset there,
On
or
Monday.
maybe at least overtime. So for a neutral, I think there's absolutely a must-see game. You'll enjoy that one.
Okay, and maybe if the USA can get through battle with Messi and Argentina, that would be something. So,
Absolutely.
all right, thank you guys for being here, and we'll be back with our next World Cup roundtable after the U.S.-Belgium game on Tuesday. Enjoy it.